This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
Stupid!
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. It's Wednesday. Welcome to the show, everybody. We got a good one today. So look, we've got more Trump stuff we're going to talk about. We have actually a lot of that stuff, including whether or not a Fox News audience thinks defunding the police is a good idea. That is, of course, after Donald Trump called to defund the police. I'm not kidding. Law and order president, everybody. Law and order. So we've got that. We have Lindsey Graham. Well, you know what? Lindsey Graham is being himself. Beta male. We've got hilarious video on that of him basically crying and begging for Fox News viewers to give Trump money. Oh my God. Then we are going to go and talk about an incident of vandalism and how a right-winger got caught. It's hilarious. You're going to love that story. And by the way, you're going to love how the community banded together to support the victims. I love it. Then we also have a racist job listing. Is it real or is it not real? Interesting. And how often do jobs discriminate against black people anyway? That's another good question. So we're going to talk about that. There is a lot of stories. As I said, we've got video, fun times, Trump attacking a judge. So we're going to get into it. Before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out. And by the way, we did not have a live stream yesterday, but we had plenty of stories. I posted them up all on my YouTube channel, as well as on our Facebook feed. So it's just didn't have time, to actually get here and do the 4 p.m. live stream. But if you haven't seen the videos already, you should go check them out later on and give them a like and a share. Yes. By the way, I just do want to thank everybody for the heartfelt comments. I really appreciate it. Yes. I had to put our cat to sleep yesterday, so that's why I couldn't make the live stream on time. The appointment was too close to the live stream, and I couldn't get all that stuff done in the amount of time that I needed to. Unfortunately, cancer, like, that's what happens. And it was just the best thing that we could do for at that time. I know I already showed you clips where we took her in to get surgery, and we had those removed, and they grew back. It was just, it got to a point where we had to just do what we had to do to make sure she didn't suffer. So anyway, that sucked, but it is what it is. But we do have stories, so why don't we just get to it, okay? And by the way, thank you very much for the $20 super chat, Gabby Mathis. Really appreciate that. All right, so let's do it. Let's have some fun. All right. On Tuesday, former President Donald Trump was arraigned when it came to the 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection with the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, along with, of course, the catch and kill scheme involving Karen McDougal and a doorman. So this is all before Trump's 2016 election, and so they're all pretty related. So falsifying business records in New York is a crime. It's according to Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. That said, falsifying business records in New York, while it is a crime, it's only a misdemeanor. It's not a felony by itself. In order to elevate charges to a felony, prosecutors do have to prove that the falsification was done in the furtherance of another crime, which is what the case against Trump is ultimately going to hinge on. Now, within the charges, of course, we do have the campaign finance portion. Prosecutors are arguing that the timing of this, since it's before the election, making sure that this negative story or these negative stories do not come out, doesn't affect the election, or that they don't come out to affect the election. And so that would be considered to be a campaign finance violation. But now we also, and as I mentioned before, that part of the case was a little shaky. There was an untested legal theory there to elevate those state crimes of falsifying business records to felonies using campaign finance. Now we find out that actually there's possible tax fraud involved. Uh-oh. So now Manhattan DA Bragg is looking at this tax fraud, accusing Trump of falsifying these business records as a way to back up planned false claims to tax authorities. And of course, that relates to the alleged campaign finance violation, all in order to, of course, hide this personal story related to the election. So there's a lot of layers to this, okay? So here's what happened in detail. So Michael Cohen, who at the time was Donald Trump's fixer, his lawyer, whatever, takes out a home equity loan of $130,000 to use as hush money to Stormy Daniels through a shell corporation. So he sets up a shell corporation in order to facilitate this payment. That turned out to be illegal. How do we know that it was illegal? Well, it's because Michael Cohen literally went to prison for it. It was a illegal campaign finance contribution. There are limits right now into how much you can donate to a political campaign. Now, before that, of course, in January 2017, Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg, who now is also serving time in prison, specifically in Rikers, they met to discuss how Cohen would be reimbursed for the payment. Because the guy takes out a home equity line of credit from his house to go and pay off porn star on the orders of Donald Trump. Well, of course you would want to be reimbursed from that, right? Yeah, of course. Now, that said, like, had Trump paid Cohen with his own money and not falsified records, this wouldn't be a story. Because hush money payments are, by nature, not illegal. Now, the two agreed that Cohen would be repaid $180,000 for the $130,000 hush money payment, plus a separate $50,000 payment that Cohen claimed as a separate reimbursement although I do believe some of that is going towards taxes. Weisselberg then doubled the payment. Oh, I'm sorry. Weisselberg doubled the payment to Cohen so that he could characterize the payment as income on his tax returns instead of a reimbursement. Weisselberg also paid another $60,000 to Cohen as a supplemental year-end bonus. He then sent invoices to Trump, Cohen did, via the Trump organization, claiming to have a retainer agreement when there was no such retainer agreement, and that Cohen was not actually being paid services rendered for any month in 2017. So that, again, goes to the falsification of the business records. Trump and Cohen had also personally talked about this. They had met in the Oval Office in early of February 2017, and confirmed the repayment arrangement. This is after he had gotten elected, obviously. So pretty much the business records were falsified to conceal the real reasons behind the payment. Again, potential embarrassment. And that potential embarrassment is also related to the election. Having this get out during a primary, at that time, a primary election, could have been, and any reasonable person, I believe, would see that as a potential damaging thing. You know, if that comes out, that could really tank my election. Now, of course, in hindsight 2020, we realize that, no, pretty much nothing that came out against Trump or about Trump could ever have damaged him with MAGA supporters. Again, could probably literally shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. A lot of the Trump supporters would be like, but did he deserve it? I hear he will. I hear he probably deserved it. He probably did something wrong. Might have been black. I don't know. Trump, innocent. Very, very innocent. The most innocent person ever. And we could never, ever, ever hold him accountable.
Can't let that happen.
Exactly. So now, look, again, if you're paying hush money payments, again, it's shady, but it's not illegal. Okay. But what happens here is he had falsely put the payments in the books as legal expenses and then claimed the legal expenses, as they are a business, the business itself, Trump Organization, claimed it as a write-off on their taxes. That is the potential hush money problem. And that, of course, would theoretically elevate the charges of falsifying the business records to a felony. And so, look, all of it, the whole thing, once again, would be an example of Donald Trump creating a problem and then getting in trouble for it. This could have been easily avoided, just like pretty much every other scandal that he had gotten himself into, if he had not been dumb. He couldn't avoid, like, he just couldn't help himself, okay? In trying to sift the state on taxes, using this so-called legal expense, paying off a porn star, or I should say reimbursing Cohen for paying off the porn star, not wanting to pay taxes on it. And that's amazing. Oh, it's a tax deduction. Look, you can see there's a lot of layers to this case, and it's actually a more complicated case, which, look, I was pretty tough on Alvin Bragg. Because I thought, he's not going to go after Donald Trump. I thought these two lawyers, they said they had Trump dead to rights. Turns out with the complications in this case and how the legal theory that we were talking about before in relation to campaign contributions was a bit shaky. But now we're talking about possible, tax fraud here. And so that seems like a much more sound legal theory in this. Look, when you look at all this, you can see how everything's connected, right? So a good prosecutor is going to have to go through and establish those connections and show the strength of those connections and then deliver that in a message that is going to be well understood by a jury. If they're able to connect the dots and speak in a way that shows every layer comes down to one thing. Trump did actually make an illegal campaign contribution to himself in this form to try to doing these catch and kill stories, right? And then in the process of that, committed all these other related crimes, tax fraud, falsifying business records. That's gonna be their case. And look, it doesn't help him knowing how much of a shady organization Trump has run. He's gotten away with a lot of things. And look, the Trump organization was recently hit with tax fraud. Weisselberg, again, now in prison. Michael Cohen had served prison time. So it seems like everybody around him having to be a criminal. And even his own organization getting hit with criminal charges, including tax fraud. So, gee, I wonder if the man himself, amidst all this fraud going on by the company, didn't, actually participate in that fraud. It seems ridiculous to think that he had no idea that any of this was going on around him. No, he knew. He knew. And look, he didn't want to pay this hush money payment himself, wanted that hidden, and they did a bunch of financial tricks, which happened to be, of course, illegal. So here's the thing, though, okay? Again, Trump routinely had gotten away with a lot of things, a lot of shady things. In real estate, we know that it's basically real estate is one of the easiest vehicles to do things like money laundering. And so because of such, large amounts of money that are changing hands all the time. So he's gotten a lot of out of a lot of things. He's stiffed a lot of people in paying what he owes. And of course, you also have all the different allegations of sexual escapades that he had been trying to avoid, the things with E. Jean Carroll, and all the other allegations of sexual assault. I don't even remember off the top of my head how many times he has been accused of sexual assault. It would make sense that he would be trying to hide these things. And he had gotten away with all of this because of the fact that he was rich and powerful. And look, the reason I believe that this case is important, and I'm not downplaying it as much as a lot of, some people on the left are doing so, and for understandable reasons, because I understand if you want to, look at more of the January 6th stuff, because that's, again, incredibly important as well, or the election interference in Georgia, all the other the Mar-a-Lago documents, all of that is also really important. But I think one of the reasons that, or one of the ways that I disagree with some of the left on this as well, is when they kind of downplay this case, is the fact that maybe we could have some accountability when it comes to wealthy and powerful people being above the law. It's not about his impropriety sexually. To me, I don't care. It's not about any of that. What it is to me is, hey, someone who is wealthy and powerful, connected, finally being held accountable for doing alleged tax frauds, for cooking the books. And I think that's really important, showing that wealthy people maybe, and again, there's no guarantee that the jury will be able to see all the dots being connected. It all depends on how, they present their case and how strong the evidence is. Apparently strong enough for at least a grand jury to put out this indictment in the first place, and for Bragg to push forward with this prosecution. But I just want to see, for once, leaving the politics out of it, someone who is wealthy and powerful not being treated as if they're above the law. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of the two-tier justice system. I'm tired of rich people getting away with financial crimes while the rest of us get targeted for little things. That's why it matters to me. Again, I don't care about the impropriety. What I care about is, are we all held to the same standards? Could I do tax fraud and get away with it? No, of course not. I don't think anybody else should be able to get away with tax fraud either. And so that's why, again, this is important. Now, the politics, by the way, and I have to note this because I see what's going on. I do know that the politics is likely the reason that we're seeing this happen in the first place. Because I just mentioned, wealthy and powerful people generally do not get held to account, especially former presidents. I mean, again, if we did, George W. Bush would be in prison, and that would be great. I would support that 100%. Again, I think doing war crimes is far more consequential than doing tax fraud, obviously, right? And so that's where the politics comes into play. Yes, that part, actually holding someone accountable for what I see are real crimes, right? That is the political angle. And so, look, you could argue that, oh yeah, well, okay, this is a political prosecution. Yes, political and actually going forward with it, but not on the crimes, because they are actual crimes. It's just no other rich people ever gets in trouble for it. And so, again, I think that this is, it's important for this reason. Now, that said, the establishment, look, they decided to stop ignoring his long history of potential crimes, his financial chicanery, and held him accountable, again, for something that a lot of wealthy people tend to get away with for a very long time. And that's why Republican politicians right now have their hair on fire. You see, I figured it out. They're always saying, oh, if they can come for Trump, they can come for you. That's their message. If they can come for Donald Trump, they can come for you. But wait, if you're an average working person and you do fraud, they're always going to come for you. And that's it. The people that they didn't come for are people like Donald Trump, at least until now. And so now these wealthy, powerful people, and it doesn't matter, people on both sides that have, done some shady things. I mentioned John Edwards the other day, who was, basically tried for essentially the same thing, but without the tax fraud. They're worried that, they can go after Donald Trump for this, they can come after us. And that's who the audience is. That's who the intended target of this. Wealthy and powerful people, watch out, because they can do it to him, they'll do it to us. Ernie Davis on Facebook says, I agree, because a regular citizen will have trouble with getting justice for minor offenses. But if a rich person committed a serious crime, they get released, and then they can have a good life. Exactly. That's the issue here. That is the two-tiered justice system in action. And I'm tired of living in a country where we don't have an equal application of justice just because you happen to be wealthy and powerful. And I don't really care, by the way, if the right wing decides to go after, Democrats that have done potentially the same thing. Okay, you're not going to make me like, am I supposed to be sticking up for people that would potentially be on my side that have done crimes? No. So we got to be fair, right? We do need to have an equal application of the law for everyone. Okay. So let's move on. Let's go to Trump attacking a judge. Awesome. Great. Former President Donald Trump attacked a judge overseeing his case just hours after being arraigned in Manhattan on Tuesday. Tuesday night, he put out this video. Take a look.
And this is where we are right now. I have a Trump-hating judge with a Trump-hating wife and family whose daughter worked for Kamala Harris and now receives money from the Biden-Harris campaign, and a lot of it. We recently had another trial, and the same judge told the fine man who worked for me for many, many years that if you admit your guilt, you will be in jail for 90 days. But if you don't, if we go through a trial and you're found guilty, you're going away for 10 years and maybe longer, which for a 75-year-old man with a great family really means life. What the prosecutors and judge did to that man, I will never forget, because it's right out of the old Soviet Union. That's where we are.
Right out of the old Soviet Union. Yes.
Pink-haired communist.
Okay. First, let me just note, low energy. What's wrong?
Please clap.
What's wrong, Jeb? Jeb Trump? Are you feeling a little defeated today? Are you just not feeling well? Just kind of low energy? That's so good. Okay, but anyway. So, look, you notice that obviously not only did he attack Judge Juan Merchan, who is overseeing his case, and that's never really smart, you idiot. But again, his family, which I'm sure is going to go over very, very well. Maybe Judge Merchan should have rethought the gag order on Trump. It's, maybe he will now. Maybe he will. But that's it. Maybe he didn't, because Trump's really good at hoisting himself by his own petard. So that seems to be what's happening. You give him enough rope, right? And I mean in a figurative sense, not a literal sense. Way to go, man. Attacking a judge, attacking his family. Weird. Now, Trump also was referring to, in that speech, the fact that Merchan's daughter, Lauren Merchan, is the president of a consulting firm that, yes, has done work for President Biden's campaign. Now, is that a conflict of interest? Legal experts say not necessarily. So here's the thing about that, right? I figured out what Trump is doing for this case. Now, I want the case to be on facts. If he did tax fraud, show the evidence that he did tax fraud. Show the evidence that all of this is connected, to campaign finance violations, and that he had violated the law in the way that he had set up this, what would have been normally a legal arrangement between him and Stormy Daniels to, do hush money. Because again, that by itself, that's not illegal. But the way the Trump organization set it up, and the way that he tried to deduct this entire thing from his taxes, tax fraud, falsifying business records, that's the important part of this case, right? That's why I want the case to be in the facts. Donald Trump does not want the case to be in the facts, because the facts look bad. He wants to be this case to be on the politics. You see, I think he does want a political trial, because there he might actually win the political narrative, at least when it comes to his audience. The defense is witch hunt, 100% political, Biden, a deep state,
Obama.
They're coming after me. The politics, they don't want me to run. The best thing for Joe Biden actually would be to have Trump run again. Let's be honest, right? So he doesn't want it on the actual, from what we can see, the facts of the case and the legal theory behind it, because again, the tax fraud allegations that actually do bolster the case that the Manhattan DA has against Donald Trump, that all of this is related and it's an illegal campaign contribution. But the politics of it, again, you could say that, well, Donald Trump's running for, he's running for president, so it's obviously a Democrat, Alvin Bragg, and he wanted to. I actually will concede that part of this is political, because generally prosecutors do not go after rich and powerful people. They tend to go after average people like you and me. But the fact that Donald Trump is so despised now, and all the other stuff that, he's alleged to have done, his stuff in, January 6th, and the investigation into election interference in Georgia, the so-called perfect call, and the fact that, let's be honest, the Republican establishment does not want him in the party, does not want him to run, but line up behind him because that's what the supporters do want. That's why I think this has been allowed to go forward, where generally, again, rich and powerful people are never held to account to their crimes. So, that's it. I want to go to more attacks from not just Donald Trump, but also from those in the Trump inner circle. Donald Jr. and Eric Trump also went after Lauren, not the judge, but judge's daughter. Here's what Don Jr. tweeted. Seems relevant. Yet another connection to this in this handpicked Democrat show trial. The BS never ends. Daughter of judge on Trump case worked on Biden-Harris campaign. Eric Trump tweeted this. They're all handpicked. It's all prearranged. This corruption is on a different level. It's the corruption. See. Hold on, though. Lauren Merchant doesn't have anything to do with the trial. Why are you going to go after this person who's unrelated to the trial? Look, not only that, but Merchant also warned Trump not to make comments or engage in any kind of conduct that has the potential to incite violence, create civil unrest, or jeopardize the safety or well-being of any individuals. But that's exactly what he just did. Yeah, because of course. Look, Trump knows how this works. He knows what he's doing. They know that there are people out there that are unhinged and could do potential violence, political violence. Look, it's not as if we haven't already had a bunch of, examples of threats being directed towards DA Alvin Bragg. He has already received racist death threats in envelopes filled with white powder. So this is just, I think, in my view, another example of political intimidation and possible stochastic terrorism. Calling for, somebody to do something against his political enemies while not actually calling explicitly for the violence. So now, look, a lot of people have caught on to this because it's a familiar Trump pattern. Let me give you some examples. Andrew Weissman, a former federal prosecutor, said that Trump's comments about Judge Merchan were appalling, and that even the heads of organized crime gangs wouldn't behave in such a way. Quote, "You do not have this behavior from a mob boss. There is a rule in organized crime. You do not do this with respect to prosecutors. You don't do this with respect to the judge. You certainly don't go after their families. It's just bad business to do that." Well, again, Donald Trump, not very smart. Like a mob boss, but dumber. Much dumber. Or maybe not even stupid, just he can't control himself. He literally has no self-control, no filter. And by the way, that's part of why MAGA people like him. But that mouth gonna get him in trouble. And this might be it. Now, AOC also weighed in. AOC, of course, a congresswoman from New York. Here's what she said. "He is publicly intimidating the judge and pointing a spotlight on their family to his supporters, many of whom have admitted in court to committing violence in his name. He knows what he's doing." In another thread on Twitter, she said, "Nothing says innocent like threatening a judge's family. Let's be very clear. Intimidation and stochastic terror are the core tools of Trump and the fascist movements that support him. They rely on it to skirt consequence and silence others. And each time it works, they grow more brazen. One reason why accountability is so important." Look, I cannot disagree with anything that she had said in that. Because again, you look at it, there is a history, there is a pattern of him doing the exact same thing, bullying and strong-arming people to get them to shut up, to get them to go away. And if he can't do that, then maybe he pays them off. But in this case, well, you can't really pay off the judge. That would be illegal and would look even worse. And so I guess it's on to intimidation. It's on to, going after the judge himself and his family. And I get concerned at what end that could possibly lead to. But then I also look at the fact that it's not as if New York isn't ready for any potential violence. So at least, there's that. But at the same time, there is cause to worry. And I just, I hope Judge Merchan and his family, I hope that nobody comes after them and nobody targets them. Okay. Let's move on. The Law and Order president, Donald Trump, is apparently not a fan of Law and Order. Now, a day after being charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, the former president took to social media and posted some things, some interesting things. All right, that's not bad. He said almost every legal and political analyst said the unfair and morally disgusting indictment filed against me yesterday has no merit and is not even a case. There was no crime. In any way, the statute of limitations has been violated by many years. Wait, well, okay, hold on. If there was no crime, then why would there be a statute of limitations? Why bring that up? Curious. Very curious. Oh, all right, so sure. He then went further. He decided to, push for the defunding of police. Republicans in Congress should defund the DOJ and the FBI until they come to their senses, i.e. stop going after Trump. The Democrats have totally weaponized law enforcement in our country and are viciously using this abuse of power to interfere with our already under siege elections. Who put our elections under siege? There was literally a siege outside of the Capitol building on January 6th. And, by the way, interference by Trump in the Georgia election, where he was putting pressure on people like Brad Raffensperger to find him votes that did not exist. So, all right. And, of course, we've already talked about the weaponization. So far, the weaponization committee headed by Jim Jordan is 0 for 0. So they don't really have any proof there of weaponization. So look, there's a couple of possibilities. Number one, that Trump is
Stupid.
he doesn't realize the DOJ and the FBI are not involved in the case of Manhattan. Or secondly, he's more concerned about the federal cases against him that the DOJ and the FBI are involved in. So, look, Trump's post came after he went after special counsel Jack Smith, who was overseeing the DOJ investigation into Trump's culpability for January 6th, as well as the Mar-a-Lago classified documents scandal, which, of course, we've seen new evidence that he was going through and rifling through boxes and trying to decide what he was going to keep after he had been subpoenaed to return everything in those boxes. So that would be, a possible obstruction of justice there. Now, Jim Jordan on defunding the police recently said the same thing. So at the end of the day, I think it's more number two than anything. I don't think he's as worried about this case in Manhattan than he is for the other cases headed up by the FBI and the DOJ. So, now, even if, by the way, there is a conviction in Manhattan, because it does involve tax fraud, could I see Donald Trump going to jail for this? Not necessarily. I know, I know. That part, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. But on the other things, especially on January 6th, well, that's much more potentially disastrous for Trump. But anyway, so now Trump calls for the police to be defunded, which I find pretty hilarious because now that these, federal investigations could affect him, not so interested in law and order, is it? That said, what do Trump supporters feel about defunding the FBI and DOJ? Well, Fox News decided to ask some, and here's the answer.
Called for America to defund the police, particularly the FBI, the department. Today,
this goes on.
Sure. After he was arrested yesterday, apparently today, Donald Trump has called for America to defund the police, particularly the FBI, the Department of Justice, because the Democrats have weaponized law enforcement. All right, who in this panel, raise your hand, who thinks that's a good idea? All right, nobody.
Oops. Defunding police? Turns out, not a good idea, even by a panel of independents, Democrats and also Trump supporters. Look, the reason is, of course, everyone knows that it looks bad when you call for the defunding of the agency that happens to be investigating you for potential crimes. Makes you look more guilty, or just guilty, even if you're not. It's just generally a bad look. Why would you do that? But again, it goes along with Marjorie Greene, Jim Jordan, and others that have called for the defunding of the FBI, the DOJ, and as well as CDC, all these different government agencies that could potentially hold them and perhaps their donors accountable. So, that seems to be, in my mind, at least, the reason that they're calling for this. Because now that, again, the FBI does have a history of targeting the left, going after left-wingers. It's totally fine. Republicans were fine with that. Go after them, smash them hippies. Yeah, go get them, get them. But now they're actually looking into them. Ooh, don't go after us. Don't go after us. No, we didn't do anything wrong. Go after Antifa, right there. Antifa, over there. We know what they're doing. So, we see you. Okay. Moving on. Senator Lindsey Graham got the vapors as he was begging Fox News viewers to empty their wallets for Donald Trump. Take a look.
I believe that equal justice under the law and equal application of our laws is dead.
It may be, but we got one last chance here to straighten this out. I just told you a Democratic president lies under oath regarding sexual matters. They're not prosecuted. A Democratic Secretary of State running for president destroys 33,000 emails under subpoena. They're not prosecuted. This is selective prosecution. It's legal garbage in New York. It's politically motivated. And we do have one last chance to not become a banana republic. 2024 is the most important election in my lifetime. America literally is at stake as we know it, is at stake as we know it. I'm sorry I'm so upset, but please help President Trump. If you can afford $5 or $10, if you can't afford $1, fine, just pray. Make sure you vote as early as you can in your state Don't risk anything anymore. Vote as soon as you can. Pray for this country. Pray for this president. And if you got any money to give, give it. LindseyGraham.com. It doesn't go to me. It goes to helping this president and taking back the Senate. Let's stand up for this president. Let's stand up for this country. And let's don't take this crap anymore. We all can help.
Sweet, sweet MAGA tears. Delicious. Wow. Look, there's nothing more pathetic than seeing Lindsey Graham grovel. By the way, going back to what he was talking about with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, well, the Clintons, there were investigations into both of those. And there was even an impeachment. And weird. It's almost as if nothing came of both of those things. So, I mean, But, okay. No, here's the thing, though. So he's groveling for Donald Trump, but I noticed something. LindseyGraham.com. Wait a minute. What are you doing? If you can donate to LindseyGraham.com, how's that going to go to Donald Trump? Are you trying to grift? Is Lindsey Graham trying a grift? Maybe. Or maybe not. I don't know. Look, as far as like giving to Donald Trump, we all know that a lot of the money that gets sent to Donald Trump doesn't get used for the intended purpose. It goes into Donald Trump's pockets. Now, it doesn't go directly, but what it does is that Donald Trump gets the money into his campaign because there are campaign finance rules. And then that campaign then goes and rents out hotel rooms, does catering, and, does all this business with Trump properties. And, of course, he can go and raise the prices of those properties, which he had actually done at Mar-a-Lago in order to get memberships and things like that. And then overcharging, of course, his own campaign for office space. I think jacked up the rent like 200%. And then that money just goes into his pockets. That's generally what happens when you give money to Donald Trump. He'll just spend it on himself. That's it. That's it. Now, that said, of course, he's spent some money on, well, not election defense, because that turns out that was not a real thing. Maybe he spent a little bit on some Republican candidates during the midterms, but not very much. And so, again, most of that money went into his campaign, and from that, straight into his pocket, because that's the entire point of the Trump presidency. That was the entire point. Take as much money as possible and stuff it into his pockets. I don't think the guy expected to ever win. And yet he won. And a lot of the problems come from, of course, him trying to win and hastily trying to cover up all the many different scandals in, ways that he didn't expect anyone to look into. And so, I guess, a problem of his own making. Or the fact that he has unmade himself, which is actually pretty funny. But look, going to the grift here, it's always been a grift. It doesn't matter, if we're talking about Lindsey Graham or Donald Trump. Now, look, the charges of falsifying documents that Donald Trump is facing right now, campaign finance violations and tax fraud, I think Trump is, a little bit worried, but probably worried more about the federal investigations. But this could be the first domino to fall. But as far as Lindsey Graham is concerned, I think this also has him rattled. If Donald Trump goes down for this, it could affect other wealthy and powerful people like Lindsey Graham. Now wealthy and powerful people might not be off the table anymore. And we could actually have an equal application of justice instead of rich people and politicians having one set of rules versus everyone else. So again, I could imagine that there are people in both parties, by the way, that could end up in the same or a similar position as Donald Trump, as in they violated campaign finance or tax laws, and they're worried that a new era of accountability could be incoming. I'm not saying that it necessarily is, but maybe the fear is in them. Either that, of course, or maybe just Lindsey Graham is that much of a pathetic Trump bootlicker now that no matter what, he's just, going to kiss Trump's ass. Not sure. Maybe one. Could be both. Okay. Let's move on. All right. What was this one? Okay. I'll make sure I had that. A Trump supporter has been arrested on criminal charges after he stupidly did something stupid. Probably could have teased that a little bit better. Recently, in Chicago, a Trump supporter was arrested for repeatedly vandalizing a neighbor's home for their political beliefs. How did he get caught? Well, that's an interesting story. So now 62-year-old Thomas Howard has been identified by Chicago police as the suspect. According to prosecutors, Mr. Howard, on 6 different occasions between May and January, vandalized a couple's home for being alleged Biden supporters. Now, examples of this are Mr. Howard cutting up a neighbor's pride flag twice, spray painting conservative far-right slogans in their garage, and leaving hateful messages on their property, including on a banana. No, I'm not kidding. It literally wrote, "Impeach O'Biden" on a banana. It defies logic. It really does.
Obama.
Okay. So now look, the incidents were caught on their home security cameras, according to CBS. And basically, prosecutors said that in the middle of August, video captured a man on the porch as he left that banana, and Hack Harris scribbled in Sharpie. The report also noted that that the family had no political stickers or signs in their lawn directly referring to the president, but had once placed a F. SCOTUS sign after the end of Roe v. Wade. So apparently that was enough to trigger this guy into doing vandalism. So, of course, the family had video, but in every one of them, the man was seen wearing a light raincoat, a baseball cap, and a face mask, or a green bandana, which obscured his face. And funny enough, that's actually one of the few times a MAGA chud has decided to wear a mask. Yay? So, look, how did he get caught? Well, by being very, very dumb.
Stupid.
According to the report, Howard had left a sticker of a cartoon President Donald Trump urinating on President Joe Biden's name on the family's newly painted pro-LGBTQ mural. And it also tagged their garage with disparaging language. Show you that. That's part of that. So, again, vandalism. Chicago police were then able to identify the online seller of the sticker they placed on another evidence of vandalism that was left. And when they did that, a little bit of detective work, they found that Howard was the only person who had actually ordered said sticker. To that I say, oops. Not exactly the best people, not exactly the smartest people, but these very, very not smart people did cause a lot of damage. Howard actually caused about $4,000 worth of property damage, according to prosecutors, and was held on an $80,000 bond in order to have no contact with victims or the location of the vandalism. according to the state attorney's office spokesperson, Tandra Simonton. He then, of course, was released from jail over the weekend after posting bonds and will be due in court next week, April 7th. When speaking to the judge in court, he said, quote, "I have taken ownership of what I've done, and I'm not proud of it." Then why did you do it? What? By the way, this isn't just one. As I told you, this was 6 separate incidents over the span of months. No, I only think the only thing he's not proud of is the fact that he got caught. That's what happened. It's totally fine until you got caught. You knew exactly what you were doing. Look, it just illustrates who these people are. But that said, there is a good part to this story, and actually a fairly surprising part to the story. Look, ironically, the Chuds, who only apparently wanted to sow division and hatred, actually brought the community together. Even the cops were there. So, yeah, that's the Chicago police. And there's another officer actually helping to paint the mural. And by the way, they also got the guy. When I talk about community policing, that's kind of what I mean. Helping the community instead of, targeting and oppressing the community. I got no issues here. I think it's great seeing all these people come together and do the right thing to fight against hatred and bigotry. And to me, that's the real way that we're going to make America great again.
The wokers.
Moving on, last story here, and a job listing. Fun. A technology consulting firm recently faced a lot of pushback after they allegedly posted a racist job posting. So now Arthur Grant Technologies Incorporated, headquartered in Ashburn, Virginia, states that it works on digital transformation initiatives for federal and commercial customers, posted a position on Indeed.com for a business analyst in Dallas, Texas, offering a long-term contract for hybrid work at $75 an hour. Well, that's really nice. However, people on social media, when they saw this, they noticed something. Well, let me just show you. Note, only born U.S. citizens, white, who are local within 60 miles from Dallas, don't share with candidates. Okay. Well, I mean, it did say that, it wasn't supposed to be put in the public-facing job posting. I don't share with the candidates. Gee, I wonder why. Because not only is it, racist, but also illegal. It's against the law under both the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Texas Labor Code to deny anyone employment based on race. And so when this was noticed, it went absolutely viral. That said, the company itself came out and immediately denied it. And said, whoa. We did not post this. In fact, here's what they said on LinkedIn Wednesday morning, saying that the posting was faked by a former employee. Yes. The job posting was neither authorized nor posted by Arthur Grant or its employees. A former employee took an existing posting and added discriminatory language, then reposted it through his own account. The moment this was brought to our attention, We worked with the job portal to remove this offensive job posting. Necessary legal action has been initiated against the job poster. Arthur Grand is a minority-owned company that's been offering IT and staffing services since 2012, and we pride ourselves on the diversity of our staff and leadership. So, okay. I don't know if this is what they're saying is true. Do I know for a fact that this was a real job posting or if it was faked? No, I obviously don't know, right? That said, blaming a former employee for this kind of job posting, you know, for doing a racism and got busted for it, I mean, this seems like something a company that actually did do this would say. Oh, no, former employee, you know, this denounced him. We're going to take legal action. Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see, right? Now, that is the one way that we'll see, you know, if this is actually true, if they do take it to court. I'm still waiting for that. But so, again, it is funny to blame a former employee. If you indeed did do the racisms, it would be kind of like blaming your producer for some unvetted guests or stories that you might not have read. And I'm going to fire that producer. It wasn't our fault. Okay. Now, look, the thing that makes me think that this could be true is the fact that it's not as if companies out there don't discriminate in their hiring practices. We know that's the case. Look, according to a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research, researchers had done in the study sent more than 80,000 fake job applications for entry-level openings to Fortune 500 firms. And it found that, on average, applications with distinctively black names were actually about 10% less likely to get a callback than comparable applications with distinctively white names. So it could be that this was an internal thing and wasn't supposed to be in the public facing, but a reminder like, hey, don't hire the black people. In fact, that same study found that the top 20% of firms that they had studied, did about half the total discrimination against black applicants, which is heavily concentrated, by the way, in a small share of employers. So I do believe that this could absolutely be real. I do also think that maybe it could be a combination of other things. Could it be a former employee posting the real job listing when they're out the door to embarrass them because he knew that maybe they were doing a racism? It's possible. Not entirely sure. But if it does turn out to be real, then I think we shouldn't be surprised. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But again, this does point out a very important issue in the fact that this hiring discrimination does happen. And it is, again, concentrated in some of the more, I would say, certain kinds of industries, as opposed to other kinds of industries that apparently want to keep black people out. And it's not just discrimination that happens against black people when it comes to job markets. Older people are also discriminated against quite a bit when it comes to searching for jobs. And so that is something that unfortunately does happen, and we need to account for and to watch for. Okay. With that said, let's see. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Let's go and read some super chats. Again, huge outpouring of support, and I appreciate that. Gabby Mathis, again, I thanked you earlier, but thank you again for the very kind $20. Mr. Man, thank you for being a member for 2 months, saying, I like presidents who don't get indicted. In the ghost of John McCain. I love it. It's so good. Boulder Crypto Sissy Dragon, thank you for the very kind $10. In memory of the sassy fur baby, Isabella. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Again, I'm heightened by your generosity and just the outpouring of support. Gabby Mathis, thank you for gifting a Waldorf Nation membership. Frog Wizard, thank you for gifting a Waldorf Nation membership as well. Koru, I just heard about Bella. Sorry to hear. Thank you very much. Again, we had her for 14 years. And yeah, it's a bit of a rough time, and I really, really appreciate the outpouring of support from you all. And Jules T, thank you for the rose for Bella. Again, much appreciated. All right, best audience in the world. I love you all. Let's go to Twitch here and see what's going on our Twitch stream. Let's see. Thank you for the new follows. Appreciate that. Quesadilla 79. I like tacos. Yeah. On that, let's do a raid here. Do a James from the Internet raid today. Thank you all. Again, really appreciate you. Please like and share the stream. Check out the videos that I did yesterday, even though there wasn't a live stream. We've got plenty of content up. And then, of course, today's content will be up on our YouTube and Facebook pages. So please check that out. Subscribe, like, all that wonderful stuff. All right. Thank you all. Have a great night. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Can't let that happen. Obama! Win!
You idiot. Stupid.
You're fired!
Peachtree dish.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.